here with Wendy Haecker from Guide Dogs Victoria. Hi Wendy, how are you going?
I'm well, thank you.
So, let me know more about the service that you work for.
Right, well, as you said, I work for Guide Dogs Victoria, and the job that I do there is called the Team Leader for Client Services. And if you know anything about Guide Dogs Victoria, you'll know that we are quite a wide breadth of services. So the part of the service that I work for has mostly to do with the guide dog side of it. So I manage a team of folks who provide service to people in the community who have chosen a guide dog as their primary mobility aid. So I get to help people, and I get to be around dogs all the time. So it meets a lot of makes a lot of joy in my life. Let's put it that way.
Sounds like a win-win situation.
Yeah, it
to
really
me.
is. Yeah.
So tell me, where are the dogs trained?
The dogs are trained right here in Melbourne, actually. So right at our facility,
Which is?
in Kew. Yeah.
So it's close to here.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
How long does it usually take to get a dog ready?
Well, we start literally from the moment they're conceived, right? So we do all of our own breeding. The pups are born on site in Kew, and then when they're about 8 weeks old, they go out to a volunteer puppy home. So these are folks who start the training process for us, and they take these little furry bundles and turn them into really nice citizens for us, nice little canine citizens. So they housebreak them, they train them to be around other pets, kids. They start taking them out into the community so they get used to what that is like, to be out among people walking up and down the street, other pets and dogs around, children, trolleys, you name it. So they do a lot of that socialization work for us. Then when the pup is about 12 or 14 months old, then they come back into Guide Dogs Victoria, and that's when we start their formal training. So that's when we start teaching them how to be a guide dog, on top of just being a really good citizen.
So I can imagine there'd be like genealogical considerations when you're conceiving the puppies.
Absolutely, yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's a great question, Eva.
Yeah.
What we are mainly breeding for is temperament, right? Obviously we need a healthy dog who's not going to end up with genetic conditions down the line, but the temperament is the most important thing. We need dogs who are friendly, who are not afraid of the environment, because we do take them into situations that can be quite stressful, taking them onto public transit, into very large train stations, shopping centers, you name it. So, and we need dogs who are quite willing to people, willing to do what we ask them to do when we need them to do it. You can imagine that's not an easy ask for a lot of dogs.
No. You said that you give a little bundle of fur to the people in the community.
Yeah.
How old are they when that happens?
Yeah, so they're between 8 and 10 weeks old when they go into
they're
homes.
Very young.
They're just babies. Yeah, it's their first time away from mom and the rest of the siblings. Yeah.
And how does that grief process happen? Because I could imagine that's very very young for a puppy to be taken away from its mum.
You know, it does sound young, but it's kind of the way that the animal world works. Yeah. So amazingly, at that point, mom has kind of had enough of her babies. They get their teeth are very, very sharp by 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So they're okay with it. It's a natural process for babies to wean and be gone. Yeah.
Imagine if that happened in the human world.
Yeah, very different.
So I wanted to ask, are there any other animals trained for people that have disabilities or who have needs? Because there are dogs, obviously.
Yeah.
And I know there are service animals.
Yeah.
But they're more often than not dogs. So
yeah.
Tell me
Yeah.
what you know about that.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot, to be honest, about other animals who are trained to provide a particular service. There are lots of animals out there who provide companionship,
yes,
and that sort of fill that sort of need. I know that I've heard, in the past of ponies being trained to provide guiding for people who are vision impaired.
I couldn't imagine them getting onto a train. Could you imagine that?
Yes, exactly. Onto a plane, it might be a little difficult. So what it is about dogs is we can train them to provide a specific service to carry out a specific task. And that might be guiding someone who's blind or vision impaired to find a curb edge. It might be assisting someone who's in a wheelchair to pick up something that they've dropped from the floor, or open a door, or pull laundry out of a dryer. So
Wow.
dogs have shown us that they can understand there's a specific task that we need them to perform. Yeah.
Great. So quite obviously, your career is taking you from the US to Australia. Please tell me your journey.
Sure, yeah. Well, I came into the guide dog industry after quite a long sort of career of just sort of being in admin and middle management and that sort of thing. And at some point in my life, I thought, this is it for me. This is as far as I'll go if I don't do something. So I decided to go to university. And what I studied actually was wildlife management. So I'd always been an animal lover, and I thought, wouldn't it be great to be able to be out, working with animals, being out in the wilds and doing all of those things. And so I did that. I got that degree. I did some work in that field, but realized that it kept me at a distance. So that sort of work is all about observation. But I wanted to be more in contact. I also wanted to have a connection with people. At that same time, I had an aunt who has since passed. She had just learned that she had retinitis pigmentosa, which is a cause of blindness for many. It's a relatively common condition. She had only realized she had it when she was in her 40s. She had been dealing with it her whole life. So with that diagnosis and me sort of wondering what I was going to do with my life, I thought, what can I do where it brings animals and people together? And so I found the guide dog world and went into it from there. Now, as far as coming to this part of the world, I got my training in California in a very large school there, and at one point became injured and was no longer able to do the job that they needed me to do. So I started looking abroad and found a job for myself in New Zealand. And so actually moved there, worked for the organization there that provides support for people who are blind or have low vision. Worked with them for 11 years and decided it was time to make a change and came to Melbourne.
Wow.
So I've been here about a year.
Were you in the north or the south of New Zealand?
Both, actually. Started in the far, far south, where it was very cold, just like here.
Dunedin?
Dunedin,
Yes.
exactly right. Loved it.
Yeah.
And then spent about 5 years up in Auckland. So I got kind of both. Yeah.
I love New Zealand. It's
I do
beautiful.
too.
It's a beautiful
I do
place.
too.
Why did you decide to come to Melbourne?
It was time for a change. I'd been there for 11 years. My husband and I had become citizens of New Zealand, and therefore I have the right to work here in Australia. And we just took the opportunity to live in another country. It's just over the ditch, so it wasn't as far as going, across the world.
Why Melbourne?
Why Melbourne? Well, because there was a job available here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you think about going anywhere else in Australia?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Beautiful. This has been a lovely conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wendy.
Yeah.
Thank you for opening the world of guard dogs.